Everyone, my name is Janelle, and this is my final project entitled Beneath Our Feet. So this project introduction, thinking about why I even wanted to do this project in the first place, what was most impactful to me throughout the whole class was the land. And so what I've written here is that long before, we had these huge cities, we had this way of life that we have now, the land was all that we needed. It provided our food, our water, our shelter, our animals, everything that we could have asked for. And there was a really deep connection between people and the land. And it is time that we turn back to the land. It has become something that we think of as something we own, something we rule, instead of something that is alive and that we are a part of. It is our best chance that we have as we enter this point of no return in our fight against climate change, and so I propose Beneath Our Feet. The thesis of my project reads, by connecting our younger generation to the soil and teaching them about the life beneath their feet, the importance and good news of the soil is spread and an act of hopefulness is achieved. So the goals of my project were to first and foremost create a connection between the land and people, mend that connection. I wanted to learn and be able to explain the difference between soil and dirt, spread awareness of the life that is contained in our soil and just how powerful it is, learn and share how the land helps combat climate change, learn about regenerative land practices to protect our soil, and then providing hope to a younger generation. So how am I going to do this? So first, and we'll kind of walk through these phases as the presentation goes. So first, conduct research both through interviews and digital sources, and then present all of that to an elementary school's class through interactive means, which I'll get to more of what that looks like in a moment, prioritizing their engagement. And then at the end, writing a collective letter to the senator to get the attention of people who do have power to bring about change. So I really enjoyed this slide, especially during mid-reviews and the development of the project, because it was my vision, it's the concept, and so the image on the left there, that is the interactive sheet that I made, and then on the right, a small render of this box of soil that I built, put soil, worms, caterpillars in it, and then brought to the classroom, and I'll get to all of that a little bit later. So first, this research that I conducted and really helped create context for my project. First, dirt versus soil. Didn't even know there was a difference until I started this. Dirt is just composed of clay, sand, silt, it's dry. These things do have nutrients and minerals in them, but without life, they're not really accessible to plants, and the land is not able to do its due diligence in supporting life and supporting the environment. So to put it simply, the difference between soil and dirt is that presence of life. So let's talk about that life in our soil. There is, in 1 square meter of rich soil, an estimated 1 billion microorganisms. And what's crazy to even think about is in a single tablespoon of some of the richest soil in the world, you can have more organisms than people on Earth, which when you think about the presence of life beneath our feet worldwide, it's just unbelievable to think about the scale of that. And so you have, inchworms, small insects, bacteria, just single cellular organisms, but they all play a very important part in maintaining our environment. And you can think about these as being in 5 different categories. You have your smallest category, including your protists, your bacteria, your eukaryotes, and then you have a microfauna that is less than 100 microns long. And then it's a little bit bigger, you have mesofauna, which is mites, nematodes, and then starting to become kind of visible to the naked eye, you have the macrofauna, which is your slugs, snails, millipedes, other small insects like that. And then the last group is your megafauna, which is going to be your worms, your burrowing animals, snakes, a little bit larger animals there. And it's all of this life in the soil that makes it healthy soil. So healthy soil is able to help us combat climate change. So healthy soil means that we have growing plants, we have roots in the ground, and that means that the process of sequestering carbon into the ground can happen. So plants take that carbon dioxide, They use it to send down to the soil, and then guess what? All those microorganisms down there, they feed on that. It's what they use to live so that they can help the plants continue to grow. And there's this whole cycle of being able to get carbon down, keep it in the ground, and get more down, just is able to keep happening. And it's estimated that worldwide soil is responsible for holding 2,500 gigatons of carbon, which is 4 times the amount of what is in the sky or in the air, atmosphere. And unfortunately, especially as industrial agriculture has become very large in the last century or so, this sequestering carbon has not been able to happen as much as it did before we started doing this process. And so we have, land being tilled up, we're losing carbon, we're not able to get more down. And if we could change practices on a global scale, we would be able to get 1.85 gigatons of carbon sequestered into the ground annually, which would completely neutralize the transportation industry. And this is going to be accomplished through regenerative practices. So what does that mean? So in recent years, the push for regenerative practices has become very apparent in our battle against climate change. Specifically in Nebraska, we have a wonderful organization, Regenerate Nebraska, and they have several principles that they follow and teach other farmers about so that their practices can be very environmentally friendly in this way. And so one of the best ways that I learned about that directly relates to the soil is cover cropping. And so having living roots in the ground over soil that would rather be left completely open, it would be able to be eroded, it would be able to be, just lost very quickly. And so this is one of the best ways that we can take care of our soil. And the biggest point of this, all of my research that I kind of took away from this, is that as long as we can take care of our soil, it's going to be able to take care of us. So the next phase of this was taking all of that research, all of that context, and synthesizing it down, a lot of iterating, a great conversation with the kindergarten teacher, and kind of deciding how I was going to present all that information, what information to include, so that it would be understood by a younger audience, and kind of what this message was that I wanted to give to them. And so that was that our soil, first, it has a lot of life in it. Second is that it's very important that our soil stays here because it's going to keep our planet and us healthy. There isn't a lot of soil on our planet. I learned this great demonstration from Andrea with an apple that I did with the kids that I'll show you again a little bit later here. And then finally, that we want our soil to be taken care of, thinking about, that final step, which I'll also show, of writing a letter to the senator. So after I was able to condense everything down and get a good lesson plan, then I had to go out and do it. I had to go spread hope. So taking it from a concept to reality. And I enjoy this graphic because these are all of the responses, a handful of them, and taking it from a blank Adobe PDF to a printed sheet that was interacted with, and instead of a render, it's a picture of me with all of the kids. So I went to Arnold Elementary School, both for elementary school and for this presentation. We got there, we unloaded the box, placed the soil and worms in the parking lot, and then went to carry it into the school. Didn't fit through the door, so we left the box outside. Luckily, she has a door that leads just right outside to the kind of grass area, so we were able to leave it there. So I went into the classroom, and after doing a short introduction, we then went out to explore this box of soil.
How many living things do you guys think are in the box? A lot? 10? Okay. I know, there's so many little caterpillars. Okay.
They love the worms.
You're swimming too? Look at all that.
So then after that, we went back inside and we spent some time talking about maybe some other things that they enjoy seeing in the soil. And so we took some time to draw.
What are you drawing? A bunny too? Okay. What are you drawing? Oh, that looks like a very good worm. And 100, okay.
That was probably was getting to walk around and see what everyone was drawing and thinking about what lived in the soil. We talked about the difference between soil and dirt, and also kind of how many living things were in that box, and talking also about how they help our planet. There's a second clip here where I was kind of explaining what carbon dioxide was, and they asked me, well, why can't we see the air? And so I kind of, well, it's really tiny, but you can feel it. So there's kind of that part of the presentation here.
Dirt or soil? Do you guys think dirt and soil are the same thing? See where it says yes in green and red in no? If you think dirt and soil are the same thing, circle the green yes. If you think they're different, circle no.
And then kind of explaining what carbon dioxide was, air, which was not anticipated in my learning plan, but kiddos made it fun. So
Like you go like this,
you'll see a couple kids start doing it too.
Because it's so tiny and it is so light, so it just floats off.
And then finally, I concluded this presentation of research to them with, again, this demonstration with an apple. Kind of caught the tail end of it here, but just really explaining to them in a visual sense, there is not a lot of soil on this earth, and it is very important that it stays around because it's going to help take care of us. There was even a point where one of the girls in the class asked me, well, what would happen if we had no soil on the earth at all? And I was very taken aback. I didn't know how to respond, because the answer is we'd all die. We wouldn't be able to be here. So it was very, very great having a back and forth conversation and answering questions, and they were very engaged, and it was wonderful.
Now you have a fourth of it left. Well, 3/4 of that we can't use because it's all desert, or it's cities, or it's just bad. So that means we have this much left. Well, all we get is the topsoil, which means all we get is the little tiny peel off of the apple. And that is all the soil that we have on the world to help take care of us.
This was a nice segue into let's write a letter to our senator. So this picture on the left here is, I had a list of all their names, and so we went around and brainstormed a little sentence to add. I had a pre-typed cover letter here. I won't read verbatim, but just basically explaining, greetings from Nebraska. Please take care of our soil. I met this wonderful group of kindergartners, and this is what they had to say. And I wasted absolutely no time getting back home and packaging that up and sending its way to kind of hopefulness with this project is right beneath our feet. Thank you.